I want to talk about matters from outer space and that meteorite that fell over Siberia and injured over 1,000 people. So we're going back to New York to talk with the science editor and senior editor of Time magazine, Jeffrey Kluger. Jeffrey, let me just start with the obvious. I mean, this thing caught our attention. There's no question about that. But should we be worried about this? Do these things pose a danger to those of us here on Earth?
Well, they do and they don't. There's some comfort to be taken, as we report in Time magazine this week, that the Earth has been playing in traffic for about 4 billion years now, especially back in the time that was called the heavy bombardment period, when the solar system hadn't quite accreted yet. But even today, about 100 tons of space debris pour into our atmosphere every 24 hours, and that includes one object at least as big as a basketball. Every couple of months, we get something as big as a Volkswagen. We don't necessarily see them coming, or we see them as a little streak across the sky, but we're getting bombarded all the time.
Well, should we be worried about that? I mean, you know, if what I understand about science is correct, it was when one of these things hit the Earth, it wiped out all the dinosaurs way back when.
That's right, and that was a 6-mile wide object. The good news is there aren't any objects that big left anymore. At least scientists don't think so. The bad news is there's a whole lot of rubble out there. The rock that just passed by Earth in the southern hemisphere on Friday and missed us by 17,000 miles, which is just a rounding error in the standards of space distances, had it hit, it would have unleashed a blast of about 2.4 megatons, or 180 Hiroshimas. So that's a nasty bit of business. 100 years ago, in 1908, Russia, poor Russia, got clobbered one other time when a rock about 330 feet across exploded over the Tunguska region, unleashed a 30 megaton blast, or about 1,000 Hiroshimas. So these things do happen.
Well, what is the likelihood of something like that happening again? I mean, we have a pretty good idea of what's out there, but not a 100% idea of what's out there, is that?
No, that's absolutely true. The likelihood of, say, the kind of rock that just passed by, we get one of them about every 40 years, and it hits the ground about every 1,200 years. Well, now, even though that's a whole lot of human lifetimes, that's something you want to avoid. We do know that in the 100 to 150 foot range, there are about 1 million such objects out there. Now, NASA's doing a very good job of cataloging all the ones they can, but so far they've been able to find just about 10,000 of them. So we're a little ways away from having the complete inventory.
Well, let me just ask you this question. Is there something the government ought to be doing, or that science ought to be doing, that it's not doing?
Actually, believe it or not, we are handling this one well. In 1995, NASA authorized, or rather Congress authorized NASA to scan the skies 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to look for these objects. And we're doing it at 3 observatories in California, New Mexico, and Puerto Rico. And those 3 observatories have accounted for about 98% of the bodies that we know are out there. Now, there are ways to defend ourselves once we know it's out there. And we have the technology to do it. It's just a question of putting the money together and deciding to do that.
All right. Well, Jeffrey Kluger, that is a little bit reassuring. And thank you very much for helping us on something that most of us know absolutely nothing about. Thank you so much.